Hamish and Terry interpreting Yum Yum talking the whole time. That's going to be so good.
Right.
It's going to be interesting.
I'm ready.
Amazing.
I am recording.
Awesome. Okay. So, I know Steph is listening because he has to do shizzle, which is fine. But welcome everybody to the beginning of Chapter 1 of Campaign 2 of my campaign, which I'm refusing to give a fancier name than just my campaign, Turtle's Terrific Tour. It should be good. I think it's going to be interesting for us to step back into a set of characters, especially after a while of doing other stuff. So the first thing I wanted to say is just to reassure everyone and to say to everyone to give each other a bit of time to settle back into things, because I think it's going to be quite strange. There is a bit of bookkeeping and sorting stuff out before we really dive back into things, and like I warned particularly George and Anya earlier in the week, there might be a bit of time before we really meet back up again, and also it's worked out with Steph as well. So the first thing I wanted to discuss with people, obviously everyone had the questions that you sent me, and I made the little 5-year gap thing with things happening in the different years, but is there anything that anybody feels their character should have in terms of feats or money or magic items? Like, I don't want it to feel as if your character of in-game 5 years ago has suddenly just teleported 5 years into the future and is largely the same. Does anything come to mind for anybody?
All the money, no.
I mean, you and Atala have been running a business, so I'm very happy to give you some sweet, sweet moolah.
Ooh. Hold on, let me look at something.
Atala's got 300 gold right now.
Okay. Yeah, you could happily add like 3,000, 4,000 gold onto that without issue.
Jesus. Don't know if she can even carry that many.
You can put it in platinum, or you can treat it as, in the caravan or what have you.
Yeah, probably in the caravan. Okay, carry 300 with me.
Yeah. I mean, Elodius has been Lord of Phandalin for this time, which has seen a big expansion in terms of tourist trade and people coming through, making some money there.
Kieran dumping all the money on him in my one shot.
Precisely. So I'm happy for, anybody who thinks characters are deserving of stuff, just let me know.
You did put together the Grey Mobile, right? The large tank in case you never win. Yeah, cool.
I've put in the submarine mode and
the perfect.
The blimp mode as well.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I got you, boo. Okay, but if no one has any huge requests or ideas with that, we can move ourselves along.
I'm just working out how many silver pieces. So can I add 5,000 silver pieces to Lotus's inventory?
Yes. 100%.
Because he's going to take them all away anyway.
Because, it's important to remember that your characters have largely been apart for these 5 years as well. People have had interim meetings. If you're visiting Neverwinter, it's likely you saw Grey through near Phandalin. You might have checked in with Elodius and Sandral at Tressendar. Bits and pieces. You'll each have your own sort of histories that have happened during these 5 years. But each of you isn't aware of the others, so it'll be nice to sort of discover and talk about that as we go through. But what's called you together is you've all received a letter, a missive from Mount Archelon, which I will show to you now. Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So beneath the crest of the Clan Archelon itself. You would all have been delivered this by a travelling White Dragonborn, who would not have waited to answer questions, but have been very perfunctory and just handed over this rolled up scroll. But it reads, "To those that would seek the safety of Archelon Jorek, my name is Archelon Kadra, Paladin of the Platinum Dragon, previously High Marshal of Clan Archelon, Warden of White Wing Bridge, and sister to Archelon Jorek. I write to you now as I have no other option left to me. Jorek is missing. I last saw him a year ago. He had grown distant with me, distant with all of us on the mountain. I have exhausted every channel available to me here. I now turn to you. I have chosen you as a known friend, ally of Jorek. I ask you now to consider your friendship with him, what he means to you, as without aid I fear that he shall not be seen again. Travel here to Mount Archelon, north of Mirabar. I strongly advise you to find a willing guide. The capable ones are few and far between. Should you come across a tabaxi by the name of Grace, she has my full endorsement as a respectful and adept pilgrim. She is likely to be at the base of the mountain. If you can make it to Rheinbreth Monastery, seek me out. I have faith that by our forces combined we can bring my wayward brother back to us. May Bahamut guide our quest." So upon receiving these missives, you will have all had your own thoughts. So Anya, your characters don't know Jorek currently, although with Grace you may have come across him briefly. But for everybody else, it's been sort of a fast friend and adventuring companion through the trials and tribulations of the first campaign, through which a great evil was vanquished and a fake cheese cart was brought into reality, and lots of different things. But I'm hoping that as we go through, you'll hear little snippets, because I didn't really want to spend a big chunk of the first session going through everything from campaign 1. But of course, feel free to ask questions as we go. We'll test people's memories. It's why I've kind of left bits and pieces in the journal, the Roll20 journal now, because you can kind of pick back through it and remind yourselves. But yes, upon receiving these missives, you've communicated with one another, largely through the use of Bungo's sending spells, able to communicate across vast distances, and you've agreed to meet up at Tressendar Manor, after which you will go and meet with Grey in Neverwinter, and you know that your friend Blam Wolfhorn awaits you much further north, where he has been living.
Mhm.
So, if I take us over to, for those who are here, a big thank you to Kieran for putting this bad boy together. Tressendar Manor itself.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you
Yes.
locate yourselves to the top right, you'll see the people currently in.
Oh, he got the art done. That's so awesome.
Looks amazing.
George did.
Yes.
Stand up, George.
A bit of music befitting the Lord of the Manor.
Perfect.
So, you find yourselves here. Elodius and his daughter, adopted daughter, Sandral Quinzel. The ever loyal and helpful Norm Quincy, in the room with you, stood by the door awaiting any orders or requests. And the happily married Good Barrels, Bungo and Atala, sat around a table of Elodius's design, with some notably empty seats. But yeah, you have much to discuss concerning the missive and the steps you need to next take. What would you say to one another?
Yeah. Sorry. So with the caravan, we've just
Yes.
left it where we were. Where were we?
The caravan, so you travel with the caravan. The caravan is currently entertaining the townspeople in Phandalin proper. So down the hill from the manor, the caravan is there. So you'll need to make a decision about what to do with the caravan as well.
Okay. Good start.
Sorry, I'm thinking.
That's okay.
Lodius would be like, Bungo, Atala, I trust you slept well overnight.
Of course.
This is their room down here.
Oh, the tiny room.
They're all tiny rooms
Which one? I was zoomed in.
of the red bedspread.
Oh, amazing. I slept quite well, Lodius. Thank you for keeping us in.
Well, it's your home as much as my home. Both of you, even though you weren't there, Atala. Looks at Bungo.
Well, it feels strange to be back.
Well, I'm just sad Bram couldn't come. I made a big effort with his room. I know how much he likes boats, and I was a bit disappointed he didn't see the boat bed. Sandra liked it an awful lot, didn't you, girl? She sort of like looks over. She's like, I did. Right. On to the first course of business. And he pulls out, I assume he's got the letter.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he sort of holds it over to Bungo. He's like, would you like to see?
Bungo would reach into his sort of side pocket and pull out the same letter I assume he has.
Yeah, you each have your own copy.
Sandra, I'll get over here. You can't see the letter. He sits in Blam's seat. No, not in that seat, next to me. Peers over his shoulder.
Your friend is not normally one to go missing, I assume.
Well, I imagine he was off gallivanting with his... What are they called? His friends? His family? And he looks at the letter. Is that the one we met in the pub, Bungo?
I believe so. She tried to drag him away, if I remember correctly, but I think I managed to convince her to let Jorik stay with us. And not sure we'd be alive if I hadn't managed to.
Well, we would have all been dead by that hideous dragon. Remember I told you about that, Sandro? She's like, yes, Elodius, I remember. Well, it was Jorik who took him down. We would have all been dead, and I would have been dead a few years too early. Oh, of course you do your thing, Bungo, with, when he gestures it. It's Bungo holding, like, his staff.
He wouldn't be, actually. No,
he'd look around for it and be like, well, I see you haven't got your staff with you, Bungo.
I try to keep it, those days it was a long time ago, Elodius.
Yes, well, I can feel it in these old legs, and he, Yes,
you've certainly got a few more white, bits sprouting in your beard than before?
I believe it's maturing. He kind of looks around desperately. Anyway.
I mean, I've got a few white myself in my... Well, what's left of my hair. At least you've still got a full head.
It's true. But he kind of looks around. Bungo, Atala. It takes a big man to admit something this big, but those mountains and, well, and he sort of gestures down to his withering physique. I'm not sure if I can make the journey, unless you want to carry me on a sedan, of course.
Well, I'm sure Roswell could carry you, but I'm not sure you'd find it that comfortable.
We'd have our means, I'm sure, but Perhaps it's best for retirement.
Well, I have many jobs to do here. It's not an overall retirement, but a retirement from the adventuring business, maybe. And he sort of grabs Sandral's shoulder. He's like, maybe the girl can go with you. I've been training her the past 5 years. She's pretty capable. She didn't find the hoard down in the basement, but you know.
Would Bungo have seen Sandral in the last 5 years?
Yeah, I think so. Probably brief meetings. There might have been times where, because essentially you and Atala have been rotating around the Sword Coast, traveling up and down. So you've probably imposed or otherwise on Tressendar.
Yeah, I definitely imagine we would have.
So you've probably seen her grow up, you know,
Yeah.
really, throughout these years.
How old is she now compared to the first campaign?
She is... You shifted it around a bit, Kieran, right?
I thought... How old was she when in your camp, in the first one?
She was pretty young, but I think she was like 12 or something.
So she'd be 18, 19 now, right?
Well, yeah, we'll shift it slightly. So yeah, she's like 18.
Bungo would just look to her and just say, you grow more with each time I see you, Sandral.
Thank you, Bungo. Dad or Master Quinzel, and she sort of looks around like, oh, I don't know what to call him at this point because, yeah, he's been training me up and down the Sword Coast, and I am eager to see Neverwinter if you're going up that way.
Well, No, sorry, Elodius, go ahead.
Well, I haven't let her out of my sight. Well, I have. It's the spine of the world. It's a dangerous place.
We never travelled that far north, did we, dear?
No, that's quite a bit north. Do you think she's ready for such a journey, though, dear? It's quite a long way. Such a young girl. I know you've been training her, but
well, she's a woman. She can decide for herself. Should she wish to come.
And if you're going with my good friend the Good Barrels, Sandral, well, I think you're in safe hands with looks at Bungo, Lyra.
You remembered, did you, Elodius?
I actually built a little shrine over here, but I didn't really know what to put in there, you know, penny whistles and little windmill things.
Well, I'm sure the good dreams I had were thanks to your small blessing.
Kind of looks up at Sandral. So, how do you feel about it, Sandral? Do you want to go on a big mission and protect our friend Jorik? Sort of. I'll do whatever you want me to, Dad. This is what I've been training for. I suppose I am your protege. And he's like, yes. And you see him hand her something. He's like, just make sure to keep in contact with me. She'll sighs.
I have to admit, I'm a bit apprehensive at seeing everyone, but I think it should be a good journey north. I'm sure Jorik's just got himself caught up in something.
Probably too busy killing all those dragons they have up there.
What would have happened, Tom, if when Bungo received the letter he tried to cast Sending?
So, thinking of timing... So I can imagine with Bungo, with how much he cares, you would have almost immediately tried Sending. When you immediately tried Sending, you would have known through the purpose of the spell that your message was received. but there wouldn't have been any response.
Okay, that's very concerning.
Yeah.
In that case, then Bungo probably wouldn't have said that and probably would have been a bit more steadfast and said, I think time is of the essence. Me and Atala have discussed the possibility of our troop staying in Phandalin, and perhaps I may have a small replacement for any services that Sandral does around the estate, Melodious. Oh, did I lag out?
No, you're
sorry.
good.
I forgot to press the button. Norm, is there enough space around here for Bungo's little troop?
How many are in your troop, Master Goodbarrow?
Well, we have Roswell and Spitz and Barrywug, and he sort of lists off the entire troop. But I am sure they could set up. We have tents and things we could set up outside the town for a short while. But I imagine we will need to keep them on the road. People are expecting. We have events to play, you see, but obviously this matter takes precedence. But I more meant, Melodious, if you would have him, I would love for Jeffrey to stay here.
That would be quite amiable, yes. What does he eat? Peanuts?
He still has a penchant for peanuts, yes. But he'll eat anything these days, really. A porridge, he does quite enjoy his porridge, doesn't he, dear?
No, put oats, rolled oats on the inventory and quadruple it for the next... How long do you think you'll be gone?
Well, how long does it take to travel to Mount Arklong, would Bungo think?
So Bungo would be pretty... I mean, both Bungo and Elodius would be pretty knowledgeable about this. You've travelled around. You think that by foot, it's likely to take a long time, multiple weeks, just to get up there. But you also know that you're on the coast. There are other options. You could look for a ship in Neverwinter to take you up north to Luskan. Is probably the quickest way to go.
That would cut still has the multiple cart, weeks. Right?
Yeah, you've still got the cart. Norm keeps it in good shape. Well, if we could travel up to Neverwinter, then I assume that Bungo might have tried to contact Grey and contact Blam via sending during this time. So I think we've all got a plan to meet. So I imagine Bungo would probably be like, "Well, I've spoken with both Blam and Grey, and they've sent their apologies. They could not be here themselves, but Grey said he was more than happy to meet me in Neverwinter, and Blam further up in Luskan. I think the quickest way seems to be along the coast, if my calculations are correct."
What's all Grey getting up to, Bungo? He promised to come down that time we met up in the Ether, but I haven't seen him.
Well, I've spoken to him a few times. Sent him a message here.
To you, does he?
Well, sometimes. Sometimes he replies, and sometimes he simply he just tells me to shush.
So true.
So I'm sure he's very busy.
Yes, young man. In everywhere nowadays.
Well, I think we're just too old to keep up with those. A young man's world, Elodius.
Yes. He looks around. This is why I have this grand old place to act as my tomb.
And a mighty tomb it shall be.
So maybe in a few years, definitely.
Well, I certainly hope it longer than a few years, Elodius. But I'll be sad not to be able to see you together with everyone again.
Well, I'm glad you visited, both you and Atala. Don't worry though, I'll be keeping Sandral up to date, and she'll be keeping me up to date, so this won't be the last time you hear my voice in a while. I know, and Sandral, make sure you give the sending stone to Grey and Blam. and Jorek when you find him. I want to say hello." She's like, "Okay, Dad."
And I think once we find whoever Jorek's got himself lost at, we'll make our way back down here and all have a nice spiffing meal at the Stonehill Inn. How does that sound? Like old times?
Well, that sounds grand, and I can probably get it comped too with my pull in the town. But I guess I can give Toplin a bit of money for it. Write that down, Norm.
I did hear about you were making some kind of petition to officially announce Phandalin as a city rather than a town.
Oh yes, but it's taking a while, Bungo. There's not enough infrastructure, and trouble with Waterdeep and Neverwinter being so nearby. They both tried to put a claim on it, and well, that whole Tressendar thing in the basement gave me a bit more leeway. But we're keeping neutral for now. We're definitely more aligned with old Verthy boy up in the north.
Yes, I wonder how that this old Scaly's doing.
Yeah, we didn't want those Waterdavians getting up here. It's a real shithole.
We went to some kind of annual event, Caravans. I don't know if you heard of it.
Oh yes. Wasn't I there or around that? I can't remember, Bungo. I'm getting so old, I'm losing my wits.
Well, it was a jolly good time, but I think it might be even a little bit much for me, being there all the time.
Well, I'll do what I can to keep them out, Bungo. You know me.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Elodius, and thank you for keeping me and my wife here for the night. But I think, like I said, time is of the essence. So I think, Sandral, if you're joining us, then we should be on the road. I think, darling, we should tell the rest of the troop what the plans are.
Don't get the cart.
Right, you are.
Shall we go and tell them now? Or is it time?
I think so. And tell Jeffrey that there'll be plenty of porridge. I don't want to worry the boy.
Certainly not. Tell him there's plenty of food here. She sort of nods over to Elodius, just in case there's not.
There's more than you could wish for, Tala. Your son he'll be fatter than ever when you get back.
Perhaps you can do some training with him. She sort of laughs a little bit at that.
Oh, what do you think I should train?
Oh.
Well, I did have
What is Jeffrey?
He's a wild magic sorcerer.
Oh.
I did have the idea, I did like the idea of him being able to shoot a bow with his trunk. I've tried, but I've never had a knack for a bow.
Interesting. Is this for your little troop?
Yeah, well, I thought it'd be a nice way to get him doing stuff that's slightly less destructive in the show.
Well, I'll give it a go, Bungo.
He nearly killed Barrywug last time.
Well, that might have been a good thing.
That reminds me, you should make sure he sits on the not so good chairs. You know, he has tendency to break them.
We can Norm add a Jeffrey proof chair to the order list.
Of course. Seems scribbling down furiously. Having learned to write.
Oh yeah.
Will you be taking us up to Neverwinter, Norm, or like old times, or?
He looks towards Elodius.
Elodius is like, I give you permission to take from Norm. And he's like, he throws over like 5 gold pieces. You don't go up there much anyway, you know. Have a nice night today and get away from the wife and all that.
Gives Elodius a happy wink. Right, I'd better get it ready then. Flying the usual colours.
Of course, Norm.
Right.
Get the large cheesecloth flag that we had made for it.
Tell me it's all old and battered now.
Yeah, I imagine he's had it maintained.
It's still functional. Not quite as
Albeit
glorious. Yeah, not quite as wonderfully newly sorted. But without further ado, you gather your things, Bungo, with your sense of time is of the essence. Get everything together. A quick word is said to the troop, who are all understanding. I think Jeffrey's a little more reluctant to see you go, and there's a sad moment where his well, I say little trunk, his large trunk with the occasional little spark coming off of it pulls on your arms, both you and Atala, but you know what needs to be done, and you hope that you'll see him soon. And I also think there's probably a little thought in your mind that it'll do him some good to be seeing different people and getting some training, whatever form that may take.
Tom, can you do the roly thing for Jeffrey as well?
The roly thing?
Well, see if he gets better at his bow skills.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Oh, yeah, of course. While you're away and he's training. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry if Bungo's voice is going to be a bit different, but
no, don't be silly.
It's like
so long ago, I can't remember.
Good. Okay, good.
It's also I'm reminded because obviously I've got all the kids playing D&D at school these days. No single kid does a single voice at any point. So we're all just like, gotta get the voice right, and it's like you don't need to do voices to play D&D.
Yeah. It's like the only character that's literally the voice I've been trying to undo for like 4 months. So
yeah, no worries in the slightest.
Cool.
But without further ado, Norm hitches everything together. You're treated to the, I'd say by now, 5 years, the smell's probably just about gone away from the old cart, but it brings back memories of...
No, you don't ever get that smell out, really, do you?
Yeah, when you're lying there at night, it wafts up at you.
It's like when you get smoke in the curtains.
No, yeah. Forever and ever. But, you find yourself travelling, catching up with Norm. You're happy to hear that he's doing very well. He's enjoying his time serving Master Elodius, and particularly seems quite proud at how Sandral has been growing and learning, and the young woman she's become, though he's embarrassed to say so when she's in earshot. But unless anybody has anything in particular they wish to discuss on the journey, I'm happy to zoom us up to Neverwinter itself.
All I would want to say to Norm is ask him if Elodius is actually paying him well.
He would look slightly uncomfortable and just say, the master, he's got a strange way of paying. It's not so much direct to me, it's more like this, and he'll jingle the little 5 gold that Elodius had tossed to him to his time in Neverwinter.
Okay, well, Bungo's gonna give him like 4 gold and 1 platinum, and just say, just treat yourself, Norm. You deserve it.
I'm gonna have quite the night at this rate. Won't know what to do with myself. I'll have to ask Master Grey for suggestions.
Well, you should head down to old. Oh God, look at the fucking notes. You should head down to old Anton's place at the Driftwood Tavern.
Thank you very much. I will.
Just give him my name, and he'll give you 50% off.
Oh, never had that before. Well, all right. Thank you.
Bungo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he knows most places in the city, even if it's not by name?
Do you mean Grey?
Yeah.
I imagine so. Grey is born and bred in Neverwinter. I imagine he knows it better than I know my own back of my own hand.
As Stefan furiously Googles the Neverwinter City map.
I'll tell you anything I need to tell you.
It's just somewhere I wanted to visit. It's not. If it's too urgent and we don't have time, then that's okay.
Well, I imagine there may be some waiting for a boat. So I don't see why not, Sandrell. That would. I imagine Gray would. Well, as long as you can keep up with him, of course. I imagine he'd be more than willing to show you wherever you need to go.
Thank you.
And while we're there anyway, maybe we should stock up on everything we need for adventuring. I'm sure you got a better idea than I do.
That's a very good point. I didn't even think of that.
Dad did give me some money as well, and she jingles this bag. I'm not sure really how much I can get for it though. With it though.
Well, we'll have to do a shopping trip before we get on the boat.
You can see her eyes light up, haven't been given this much allowance before.
Excellent. So it's a couple of days by cart, but Norm knows the road very, very well by now and is an adept hand with the cart. Creaks and groans, but you find yourself coasting along the familiar road, thinking of the sights, the forest, Neverwinter Forest in the distance, things you encountered there. But before too long, you trundle up past the turn-off to Helm's Hold, and on, after a few nights sleeping in and around the cart. You are not bothered during your time. Unless there's anything anyone would like to do during those nights. I'm jumping some nights.
No, I think Bungo would just point at Helm's Hold as Sandro and went past and go, I killed a plague there.
I remember Bungo. That's where it's also where they took Daldern.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring up those memories. Yeah.
It's all right. You went and got him back, so.
And I hear he's doing very well at the the library. I forget the name.
Candlekeep.
That's the one.
He was up here with some friends a year or two ago, and they found something in the basement. I should have really gone down there myself before, but I was too busy exploring in the nearby forests, and well, I think, I'm a bit disappointed that I didn't do it, really.
Well, at least you got an opportunity for adventure now, and hopefully, this one will end with similar circumstances with Daldern, and in this case Jorik, back in safe hands.
Well, if it's anything like your last adventures, it should be really, well, I should learn a lot.
Well, it's been a long while since I've felt the call of danger from Lyra, but there's no too urgent signs from her yet, though. So maybe Jorik is more safer than we think.
I hope so.
Let's hope it's a little bit easier than your last journey, Bungo. I don't really want to get us in that much danger.
Well, we made it to Neverwinter easily last time. We ended up chucking a nobleman's head in a badger hole.
Yes.
Good time.
Dad told it a bit differently to that, but I believe it.
Well, something like that.
He says he fell in the hole.
He turned out to be worshipping demons, if that means any. Let's move onward. Norm, speed the cart up.
Right, you are. Looks nervously at any badger holes around. But you find yourself travelling towards Neverwinter itself. The city looms up in front of you, the great walls surrounding it. In the distance off to the east, you can see still there the breakages in the walls leading into the broken area of the city known as the Chasm. The city itself, as you arrive, is, well, I imagine some of you have been back in the meantime. I've left the little things on to remind you. It has recovered, but it is nothing like the city that it had been before the issues around Talona and the plague. The chasm is still very much out of the city's control. What you would see as you'd enter is there is a much greater emphasis on guards. Everything seems to be patrols. People are reluctant to spend time out in the streets. You don't see many people walking around, even for a city this size. You see many things that look like they were previously shops, taverns, craftsmen, tradesmen. All these different buildings that had previously had colourful signs have either been painted over, boarded up, shut down. The most common sight you see is where previously hanging out into the street above so many of these doors would have been signs calling out the wares and styles of things within. Now there are just these empty metal hangings. The wooden signs have been taken down. Guards at the gates, however, did recognize you immediately, Bungo, and had ushered you in. You seem to have free reign of the city. We'll say, because it makes sense, that between your conversations with Grey, perhaps you would have spoken to meet back at the Driftwood Inn.
Mm-hmm. I think that makes sense. And we can drop Norm off there.
Yeah. So you trundle through the streets. It's not hugely unpleasant, but there is a solemn feeling and atmosphere to the city itself. People move about their day, going to their jobs. You do hear the sound of striking metal and sawing wood. Things are being done, and you can see there are still repair works being done at various points around the city. But yeah, there's a feeling of people perhaps somewhat suppressed.
Quick question, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Seems Sandrell's been training with Peleus.
Mm-hmm.
Where would they have done that? Would it have been...
He would have moved her around quite a lot, so she would have seen the city in its current state because he would have trained her at times here. Probably most often when he wanted her to be sparring with other cadets and military personnel. But he would also have done a lot of running her around the woods, the local countryside, a lot of fitness, things like that. But yes, she absolutely would have seen the city as it is.
But she would have only seen it in this state, right? There'd be no... She doesn't see it differently.
She might have fleeting memories, broken memories from a childhood, but beyond that, yeah.
Okay.
But you trundle through. Norm, not being a particularly worldly man himself, even with this suppressed feeling that I think Bungo in particular you would be and Atala would be very attuned to, Norm is loving it. There's so many buildings, they're all high up above him, there's like multi-story buildings, multiple people, you catch him waving and smiling at people as you're trundling along. To him, he just seems to think this is what a city's supposed to look like. But before long, you arrive in front of a familiar sight, the Driftwood Inn.
Is this the place that you threw Elodius into the portal, Bungo?
Well, it was Bede actually, but...
He said it was you. He said he pushed him in. You pushed him in with his staff.
Do I look like I could push Elodius in? I've not got the muscles on me. Maybe Blam.
True. You seem to have more, you've got a lot of force behind you. He was telling me the stories of your arm wrestling escapades.
Arm wrestling is more a game of skill rather than strength. That's what I keep telling people.
Oh, well.
Although sometimes, pure brute force simply can overpower you. But if you know what you're doing, then, the little guy always stands a chance.
Well, Should we go in?
Yes, let's. I imagine Gray's probably talked Anton out of his entire life savings. Yeah, Bungo would climb down from the wagon and sort of help Atala down and Sandrow, and then head into the inn.
Mm-hmm. Norm moves to start tying up the horses to the tying post outside. You head to the front door. You would notice that, as with so many establishments in the city so far, the Driftwood is missing its sign. But the door is unlocked. You push it open. A familiar creaking sound as you step into a dimly lit interior. Gray, I hand this over to you because you are Gray, and I wouldn't put it past you to want to fuck with people as they're coming to meet you. Are you positioned notably within the inn?
Is it busy? Is it lively? Is it
It is.
down?
There is nobody in the inn apart from you.
Not even someone at the bar.
No.
Oh, it's completely abandoned?
It's not abandoned. You would know that during the hours of daylight, citizens in Neverwinter are not allowed to be drinking or carousing or what have you. They are all put to work. They all need to be working during the time.
Uh-huh. I'm surprised this place was open then. They don't lock it shut or anything.
Because you're there, I believe Anton would have left it open for you.
Okay. Well, yeah, I did have one idea, and fuck it, let's go with it.
I knew it.
I'm gonna roll one of these bad boys. Oh,
let me see.
See if anyone can find me.
Well, I've got 29 passive perception, so I can actually see you.
Well,
no.
That's a weird one, right? Because if
no.
he's hidden, but then it's passive. I'll say certainly nobody else can. Bungo, you get almost like a prickling of the hairs on your neck.
I was gonna say.
I'm actually gonna undo that and say, because Bungo would not have the Sentinel Shield equipped, which means his passive perception would only actually be 24.
Very good. So yeah, you step in, Bungo and crew, to an empty. It's not dusty. It's not broken or anything like that. It's well put together and maintained, but it is currently entirely empty of people.
What's the time?
I would say it's early afternoon.
Did we mention, Bungo, what time we were meant to meet him?
Gray's usually pretty vague about these things. He usually just turns up when he wants to.
Well, maybe we should just sit down.
He could be here right now. He wouldn't even know it.
Oh.
If only I could go get my shield from the wagon.
Where's the She kind of looks at the bar. Isn't there meant to be a person?
Yes. Doesn't look abandoned, but it looks like everyone's off on their holidays.
Even the Stones Guild in Waterdeep was busier than this.
Is there meant to be an event on today, or?
Maybe he arranged a party for us, but no one turned up.
Would Bungo know anything about what's going on in Neverwinter? Like just from the outside, or would it be?
Yeah, so I imagine Bungo and Atala favouring the smaller settlements for their troop. But it certainly, even if it's just passing through, and you would absolutely have been welcomed passing through and given a place to stay. So I think you would have passed through it on occasion. Yeah, you would know that consistently across the last 5 years, Neverwinter has been rebuilt and re-established. There's been a returning of many refugees who had left the city during the time of the disease that was there. It's being managed in a very military manner. I think no one wants to say it's under martial law as such, but Verth as the Lord Protector is essentially treating it that way. There is an assumed and enforced attitude of all for one. We all have to pull together.
All will be well, you might say.
Indeed. Yeah, I think especially with you, Bungo, because you are insightful, and I can imagine you seeking out Bede, Peleus, Loreg, so on.
I think
You would have noticed. Sorry, go on.
I think you definitely would have cast sending to them at different points throughout.
Just to check in.
Just to say hello.
Yeah, you'd know they're all well, but they have somewhat distanced themselves from Verth himself.
Okay.
They are still a cohesive unit, and they work together. There have been times when monsters have had to be killed in the chasm and so on, and they do work as one when needed. But they don't. There no longer seems to be that sort of band of brothers, close knit thing going on. And yeah, you would have noticed that Verth is definitely taking his role very seriously.
It seems like perhaps this is Verth's doing. It was similar when we last passed through, wasn't it, dear? But not quite the same. But yes.
A little more empty than previous visits, at least.
Yeah, even more so.
Mm.
Do you think we can just help ourselves to anything behind the bar if we pay?
Anton won't mind. I'll make sure Drongo will get out like a ink pen, and would he have some paper, do you think, Tom?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, he would just get out like a little and just fold it into like a little. He's gonna actually try to do. I reckon Bungo would have over the 5 years would have tried to practice a little bit of origami.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I imagine maybe like Spitz would have taught him it.
It's a very Spitzy thing.
I thought so, and I think he would like fold it into like a shape of like a little pinwheel, and just like, and then like in each like I don't know what's called, like wing of the pinwheel, he would put like a silver piece in each one.
Oh,
so
amazing!
I'll take off like 10 silver.
Yeah,
or
very
50
happy for you to do that.
Sandrell is gonna go behind the bar. And she's gonna do that. Dad.
I was going to say, the moment anyone approaches the bar, Gray will just sort of pop up. Just suddenly, you didn't even know he was there, but now you see him and he's just leaning on the bar. He says, "What'll it be?"
Utter dark. Dad was saying it was nice.
Oh man, Sandy, it's been a long time. You've grown up.
It has. And she's just standing there, like half shocked.
Hello, Gray.
Don't look like that.
How's it going, Gray?
Oh, you know, can't complain. Yeah, city's the same old city that I know and love, despite all its shitty flaws. But welcome, you know, your guests. I can't bring it down like this, no matter how troubling business is these days. What'll it be?
Well,
Come around on me.
I'd love a honey pie Jew if you've got. If Anton, he surely has a stock in the basement somewhere.
Oh, I made sure he does, just for you, little fella.
Oh,
He's already got one like prepared behind the bar. Just hands it over.
I assume Thalla's met Gray, right? She's met everyone, right?
So we never did the one shot because it was too scary for Tom to sort out. But you guys got married, and I assume you invited many people to your wedding.
Everyone, I think.
Yeah. I don't think. Well, within the. Oh no, because you got married quite early on, right?
First year it was.
Yeah, so everyone would have been. Certainly Jorik would have been there.
Okay. So yeah, second time seeing him then, I assume.
Would it have been held in Neverwinter?
I think you wanted to hold it in. Yeah.
How far away is that?
A few days travel, I think.
It's about
a week.
Or a week.
Bit less.
I think it's like 2 weeks.
Ooh. So yeah, a fair way.
I'm gonna say Gray may have sincerely declined or not been able to make it. He would have
No, that's
considered
fair.
himself, too busy to go away from the city for that. 2 weeks? Or
I
something.
think if that was the case, Bungo would have made a point of dropping in so you could meet Atala.
Okay.
At some
So
point. Okay.
just clarifying if we've met or not.
Yeah. I was half expecting to be like, "Who's this?" And it's good to see you too, Atala.
And you. Feels like it's been a while.
Too long. What'll it be?
I think I'll have the same thing Bungle's having. Sounds quite nice.
You know
Don't
it's
what
nice.
Like here. Well, I've had the Amphail one.
Well,
I think
it's,
I've had it from here.
they all brew it originally in Amphail.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They ship it up.
And in fact, Gray would know that the Honey Pine Dew, though Anton does stock it, it's essentially illegal in Neverwinter currently.
Ooh.
There's a heavy
Okay.
emphasis from the refusing imported goods and only using homegrown Neverwinter goods.
Then what he'd probably do is he'd definitely pour it out into a glass, but like be keeping an eye out toward the doors and windows whilst he does it,
Mm.
and then just like tucks away the bottle or whatever.
How's the home been, Gray? Seems a bit quiet for a... What day would it be, Tom? I can't remember the days of the week are called on Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, it's a working day, mid 10 day.
Seems a bit quiet.
Well, I'll be honest. I spend most of my time, when the sun goes down, and things pick up a bit then. So I don't know. This seems pretty the usual, I'd say, in recent years.
Well, it certainly seems to be lacking Lyra's laughter. I'll say that much.
Wow, you got that big old hole in the ground down in the southern bit, and after everything we got involved in here, the plague and all that.
Well,
Times are tough. It takes a while,
I know. I don't mean to put things down or anything. I just I didn't quite
not
expect
at all.
it
There's
to
no
be like
offense.
this.
No, this place is a shithole. I completely agree, but
Well, I didn't want to say it
You
in
know.
those terms, but
you never were. You're too good for that.
well, I suppose our mission is fairly urgent, but we were looking to maybe stock up on supplies before we left. Do you know any good places?
I think, Gray, you'd notice the door starting to open behind Bungo.
Can I do a perception to try and see who or what?
No, you don't need to, because the door pushes open and a big happy face comes in, and
Hi.
you hear him say, "Master Gray, I've got this," and he rattles his coins, "and I'm ready for my fun night in." He sort of looks around at the empty inn. God, it's more empty than the Stonehill on a day of faith.
Oh,
Well-
Norm, it's good to see you, buddy.
It's lovely to see you. And he wanders over and he gives you a big bear hug.
Yeah, I give him a pat on the back. Yeah, no, if you're looking for a night out, this is not the place for it, nor the time. I'll show you somewhere else if you're free tonight.
I certainly am, and ready to pay.
Mr. Gray, there was somewhere I was kind of hoping you might know in Neverwinter.
Try me. I'd like to think that there isn't anywhere I don't.
Does she know where it is, Tom? Or does she know the name? Or anything?
Yeah, so I sorted this because it's within the chasm area, not within the chasm. It's not gone.
Yeah.
That
Um,
district.
but she's done her own sort of like asking, questioning around, and she knows that it is in a dangerous area of the chasm. Like it's on the other side, so like over
Yeah, maybe
this
not.
kind of area.
Maybe on the way back.
Yeah.
In the
Up to you.
5 years, Tom,
Mm-hmm.
would Bungo been able to get like a crystal ball or like a focused worth at least like 1,000 gold pieces? Do you think?
Certainly.
Would when he heard what happened to Jorik, what would have happened if he tried to scry on him?
Would this have been later on?
It would have been after he received the letter and after he tried to cast sending. I think getting no response. I probably think he would have tried sending like over the course of maybe a few days or something. And if he didn't get any response, then he might have tried to scry on him after that.
Mm-hmm. So I'll say the 1,000 gold orb, certainly not an issue finance-wise. You and Atala have done quite well out of the travelling troupe. However, it would need to be sourced from one of the larger settlement.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have taken some time to get back there and to sort that. So 2 things I would say. 1, if Bungo, which I imagine he was regularly trying to send to Jorik,
Yeah.
he would have noticed, I would say, so since he received the letter, maybe a week into having received the letter, with how the spell works, he would have noticed that the messages were no longer being received.
Oh, yeah, he definitely would have scried after that then.
And then making haste to source the crystal orb and scrying, the scrying would have failed, as if there wasn't a target of the scrying.
In that case, after that, he would have tried to cast Commune, and he would have asked Lyra if Jorik is alive.
Mm-hmm. Which would have given him some reassurance or heart, kind of. So, in communication with Lyra, Bungo would have picked up, and I can imagine Bungo, again, like, trying this a number of times across a period to try and figure stuff out as much as possible.
Yeah.
He would have known from Lyra that she doesn't know whether Jorik is alive
That's
or
fucking
dead.
scary, especially because it's meant to be a yes or no.
Yeah. I can imagine Bungo asking about Kadra and Kadra's intentions and the letter and so on. So from Lyra, I will say that, yeah, the biggest thing is that she doesn't seem to be able to know whether Jorik is alive or dead. The answer you received there is neither a yes nor a no.
Yeah.
That Kadra's intentions seem pure. That heading north and trying to help could lead to positive outcomes, because those are kinds of questions that you can ask to your deity.
Yeah.
And that time is important.
Okay, then he would definitely say I think we should focus on if possible getting a boat tonight. I don't know if that's possible, Grey. Do they travel up to Luskan out of evening?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be someone willing to part ways with a vessel, depending if you got the coin. I'm guessing you guys do, so... I mean, yeah, I'm afraid, Norm, matters are urgent elsewhere. We'll do it on the way back, right?
Alright, well, I'll have to be getting back to Tresendar, and perhaps you could just point me in the direction of somewhere, just with a couple more people than here?
Well, yeah, sure, I can do, but if I were you, I wouldn't be waving around that bag of money of yours, not in a place like this.
Right. City folk, right? Kind of pats himself down. You see him sort of looking for folds or pouches that he could use to hide. Oh, I've had an idea. And he trots off back outside.
I don't know whether to think that's a good thing or a bad thing.
So I assume you guys got this same note as well. Kind of flicks it upwards.
We all did.
Well, technically Elodius got mine, but he said he's too withered to travel now. That's how he phrased it.
Jeez. The old guy was withered 5 years ago. What's he like now?
Well, he can still walk, he can amble about, but oh, actually, and she passes the sending stone over to you. You can ask him yourself.
Oh, well, maybe some other time. Pockets it away.
Right.
And yeah, Gray, you would know that much of the seafaring is tightly controlled, unsurprisingly, by Verth's decree. Like the previous sort of half merchant, half tied to the city navy force has been put under, having been turned down by Blam, has been put under the command of Bede. But yeah, indeed. But with Verth's oversight, so none of the fun bead stuff. But that there are still ships that come in to bring trade and to take people otherwise, and many of the city's children and even young adults often flock down to the dockside because some of the only chances to really get a little burst of outside culture, exotic things coming in is from these ships coming into dock. They are quite few and far between, but you do know there's one or two docked down in the harbour now.
Yeah, I know. It always feels like whenever there is that huge amount of law and control, there's always going to be someone making money out of it.
Oh, 100%. And you've had to deal with a lot of probably what feels to Gray like stupidity on Verth's part, because as he tightens his grip, you see those who he's trying to tighten his grip around thriving more and more. The Blackened Blades have been in absolute ascendance in the last 5 years, despite your best intentions and efforts, and they've grown happy, they've grown wealthy, dealing in what has become a very thriving black market economy within the city itself.
So they are a considerable threat to their forces.
Yes. I guess Gray would probably think of it in summary as Verth thinks he's in control of the city, and the Blackened Blades, because of Verth's single-mindedness, are perfectly happy to allow him to think that.
Yeah. The fool.
Yeah.
Good chap, but a fool.
Tries very hard, but he ain't the smartest cookie.
So yeah, if a ship out is what we need, then we'll find one. Don't you worry.
That's good to hear. We should look to buy things quick.
Where are we meeting Mr. Wolfhorn?
But he said
That's a good question.
out of Luskan, I believe. Is that right, Tom?
Yeah, just outside Luskan.
If we're going to
Inland.
Luskan, we probably need some pretty heavy clothes. Isn't it really cold up there?
I was thinking the same, Sandral.
Well, one of those little rings that heats you up, that'd be nice.
I was thinking more like tents and things like that.
Yeah, I think all of these things would be very useful.
Can Sandra roll to see what she knows about the spine of the world?
Absolutely. Roll a history check, please.
First roll. Oh no, it's not. It's
Apart from
different.
Gray's stealth.
Oh.
Rather than that being Sandral's lack of attention, I'd say that's more that there isn't that much, at least within easy reach of her, about the spine of the world. She would know it's a very rugged, that many consider it sort of beyond Mirabar as being the very last sense of proper civilization. There are a collection of smaller towns, 10 towns, off to the northwest, but the spine of the world, mountains themselves are home to many dangers. Probably the most detail she knows would be around folk tales and nursery rhymes telling of dragons and monsters and yetis eating children and such. But yeah, she definitely have the impression that it's a very dangerous place.
So, like, survival-wise, most she could think of is rations, cold clothes.
Yeah. Rations, cold clothes, like taking a stock of firewood, torches, things like that.
Potions, tents, warm
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, lots of waxed stuff to keep yourself waterproof.
Okay.
Should we go shopping then? Or
You certainly can. It's up to Gray whether he wants to lead you to the legal shops or to the illegal shops.
Yeah,
The illegal ones are much better stocked. They are illegal.
They're both open this time of day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it depends what it is you're looking for exactly. Easy enough to come by stuff, or something a little more difficult to procure?
well, just stuff to keep us alive, I think. Warm things, potions, perhaps.
I think just the basics, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, basics should be safe enough and fine. Potions, we'll see. I'm not so certain on those these days, but we can certainly take a look, see what we can get, and we'll go from there. So I think if we start the legal ones and see what we can find.
Excellent. So you would know that all legal trade is conducted in one area, essentially in the courtyard area, because it's large enough, of the ruined Neverwinter Castle, which still isn't rebuilt. So you travel not far across the bridge, one of the bridges, over to the courtyard, and you would see, again, heavy guard presence. You would see probably some quite bored-looking vendors stood behind stalls. There are very rudimentary signs in place on the stalls, not hanging from them, but like little wooden boards set at the front, proclaiming things as simple as cloth, rations or food, just this very basic, organized system. You can see the guards keep people in queues, and as you approach the courtyard, though it's up to you, Gray, whether you would want to try and circumvent this, you see guards ready to sort of speak to you, who will probably try and usher you into certain queues.
So what? This is almost like they tell us where to shop rather than us picking and choosing.
Yep.
Huh.
Mm.
Okay, well, then it might just be a simple case of just do what these guys say. Nobody, stick your necks out for anything. Just do what they say and everything will go fine. No need to start some trouble now.
Of course.
Are the queues really long?
They are quite long, at this time of day.
Well, this is going to be time consuming. Maybe. Is there nowhere else, Gray? At all?
Well, I mean, there's always other place to get stuff, but I don't want to, I know we've had adventures together, but no need to anything unnecessary, right?
Does it look like it's a reasonable wait for the queue, or would Bungo be
Yeah,
antsy?
not ridiculous. And the positive of the guards is that they keep people moving along. It seems like people have a set amount of time at the stall before they're moved on. You think you probably wouldn't be waiting longer than 10-20 minutes?
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So as you approach the guards in a very perfunctory manner, ask you what you're after. I assume you'd say about, probably to save time, maybe split up. One of you go and find cloth, one of you go and find potions, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you head off to do so. You're put in queues. You see the people of the city around you. There's a wide variety of people stood in these queues. Some of them seem wealthier, some of them seem poorer. There's 2 guards behind each stall alongside the shopkeep. Certainly a very heavy presence, and everything is very much regulated. There's no bartering. If any of you tried to barter, you would get a stern look and a reprimand from one of the guards. Everything has set costs.
Is there not even like? So you say that there's like both the rich and poor folk. Like there's no class divide or anything.
No, I think, Gray, you would know from your experience in the city that the black market is it's almost like the extremes frequent it the most. The very poor and the very rich tend to head to the black market more than others.
Okay, yeah.
Normal God-fearing folk do try and go by the normal shops, because whilst the blades themselves are very good at avoiding guard attention, if you're just Joe Schmuck, the ex-blacksmith, trying to be all sneaky going to the black market, it's quite likely you end up getting caught.
You leave Joe Schmuck out of this.
Joe Schmuck's a bastard and he deserves to die.
He's my backup character.
Yeah, I'm writing Joe Schmuck on my list of things to do now.
He's best friends with John Cena.
Oh,
How's he doing?
No, that's the one thing Gray can't find: the mystery of John Cena.
I looked for days. He was nowhere to be found.
It consumes me.
He's just a legend now.
But before long, and without the fun of bartering and really of variety, you ask after sort of cold weather clothes, and the shopkeeper's just like small, medium, large. Like, does there need to be a tail, space for a tail, or what have you? You give your orders, and before long at all, you are fully equipped. I'd say honestly the money is largely inconsequential to the pots of money that you guys have, but I'll say if each of you removes 5 gold, and we'll say you're fully equipped. However, there were no potions available, nor magic items.
Was there any +1 studded armor? Just there.
Had Atala, so there would be arms and armor with even more guards present. It would all have been mundane. Would Atala have inquired, asking about magical stuff?
Sure.
Yeah. On inquiring, you wouldn't have been reprimanded or anything, but essentially the guard just would have said any non-mundane items, whether it's arms, armor, or otherwise miscellaneous magical items, is strictly controlled and under the direct control of Verth himself, and you would need to submit a request.
Do we all get a pair of like cold weather clothing then?
Yep. If you want to add to your inventory cold weather clothing, you can add torches. You can add. I'll assume the party has firewood together. Tents. You can each have your own tent if you wish. Anything mundane that you can think of to do with cold weather. You might want to have gotten things like
Snowshoes.
whatever. Exactly, snowshoes or crampons for climbing icy places, and it's all decent stuff. Despite the sort of drab nature of it all, it is decent quality.
A sled. Can we get a sled? A cheese sled.
You could buy wood and request the services of a carpenter to modify the cart
The wagon.
to become a
Holy
sled.
shit. Norm.
If you want to, but Norm would tell you that he's meant to be driving it back to Master Elodius tomorrow.
Places his ox with reindeer, grows a beard. Before you know it.
Don't spoil the end of the chapter, Stefan. But yeah, it's all very much available to you. So feel free to add suitable survival gear, poles, lanterns. Within 5 gold, I think that's entirely fine.
I added some stuff.
Cool. With that, does Atala wish to make a request about magical items, or are you going to head to the harbour, or something else entirely?
I think that'll take much time, so she'll just go with everyone else.
Well, what sort of time of day is it current?
I'd say now you haven't taken that much time. I'd say it's like mid to late afternoon, 4ish.
Not long until the sun.
No.
I think Bungo will be pushing to try and get a boat, like, ASAP.
And yeah, I will say for reference, it is winter. It is coming into winter now, so yeah, it would be getting dark, starting to get dark. Okay. If no one else has any suggestions, you head down towards the harbour. Everything you're doing within the city is very quick and efficient. You've got Gray's expertise in guiding you the fastest way to different places. You head down to the dock area, the harbour, and you see a genuinely quite heartwarming sight. Having walked through these drab streets, you see a number of children all gathered round a beautiful wooden vessel, 3 masts, sails flying in the wind, impressive painted figure of a mermaid astride the front of the ship, and a colourful crew seemingly entertaining the children, who are finding something incredibly exciting and funny, giggling and jumping about, but you can't see whatever that something is because the children are blocking your view from it.
Sandra was just gonna use, with her 55 movement speed, she's just gonna dash off and see what it is.
Amazing.
Sorry? A what?
Gray's like, this is bullshit.
The fuck?
So, Sandral, from your decent pace, but somewhat limited by little Bungo's legs, Sandral just zooms off ahead of you. Sandral, you find yourself swiftly in amongst the children. You kind of gracefully... Jesus, more than double. You gracefully step in between the children, thinking of some of Peleus's lessons to you, avoiding any harm. And as you push to the front, you see a very odd sight. You don't quite understand why the children have been reacting as they have, because on the ground in front of you is an accordion, just slumped on the ground.
She looked. What was it doing, kids?
One of the kids, a little mucky-faced street urchin with dirty blonde hair, would look up at you and put her finger over her lips and just go, "Shh, wait.
What? Is this some kind of joke?
And halfway through you saying that, you would hear the sound of the accordion. Anya, you want to introduce your accordion?
What?
If she's there, bless her heart. She might not be.
What does an accordion sound like when it's speaking?
She's been practicing her accordion. Oh no! She disappeared. She's been practicing her accordion sounds.
Hello?
There you are.
There I am. So yeah, it would just emit a long and very discordant as it like folded up in the middle, and like a worm it would sort of as it floops along the ground like a worm. So this, shall I introduce what this is?
Wait just a second. I want to see Sandral's reaction. So Sandral, you as exactly as Anya just said, this accordion seems to be like pulling itself along the ground in little circles under its own accord. No pun intended. and emitting this wonderful yet horrible sound as it's going along. And the kids are loving it and just jumping around, leaping next to it. And the little ruffled blonde, dirty blonde hair of the girl is looking up at you now to see what your reaction is.
Just looks like. Is that? Does it usually do that? Is it usually here?
She would just give you a big grin and just say, "It's new and it's great," and she'd like jump around next to it.
Wait, I'm gonna do an intelligence check for Sandrell. She's gonna
Yeah,
try
do
and
it.
determine if it is a sentient accordion, or if this is normal or not.
This was Tom. This was our greatest invention ever.
I like to picture Anya went to Tom like, I want to play an accordion. Tom's like, yeah, your character can play an accordion. No, I want to play an accordion.
It was an evolution of many steps.
It really was. I'm not quite sure how we got there, but I'm proud of us for getting there. With a 7, you're not sure. You've certainly heard of animated items, things that are magically able to move that would otherwise be inanimate. The way it pulls itself around. In fact, do a perception check for me, because I think one of your first instincts might be that you think someone is manipulating it nearby.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I think with your sharp eyes, you would note that there doesn't seem to be anyone manipulating the accordion itself, conjuring it or making it move. It seems to be doing whatever it's doing, whether sentient or not, of its own ability.
She's gonna be like, oh, well, and she just sort of looks at the kids and she's just gonna watch it. She's finding it quite amusing.
Amazing. So I think the rest of you would probably catch up by this point. But I will say, as you're catching up and treated to this site, Anya, do you think perhaps
Yep.
the rest of the crew would sort of join in?
Well, I think for one thing, first off, you'd see over the edge of the boat an Aarakocra, female Aarakocra, would lean over the side of the boat and shout, "Grub, can you stop pissing about and get back on board, please?"
Sandra looks at the kids,
And yeah,
trying to work
sorry,
out which one's
and-
Grub.
the accordion would admit a sad, You'd then see a large, massive, like the biggest Goliath you've ever seen, walk down the gangplank and come and pick up the accordion, who is just like making like little of protests because he wants to walk himself.
Yeah.
The Goliath. You can tell his name is Scum because he has it tattooed on his knuckles on both hands, and on his arm also is a heart with a banner that also reads Scum.
So you see these people come down. You hear the Aarakocra, the dark feathered Aarakocra woman calling out, and this large Goliath man coming down to pick up the seemingly distressed accordion. To which all the kids around are just like, "Oh."
Let's get the next boat. Didn't say that, did
Characters.
Yeah, I think with you all being there, you would all notice as well. The boat itself seems to be in very good shape. You hear the bustle of other figures up on the deck, though you can't see them from your current position lower down. There is a gangplank leading up onto the boat itself, and you see emblazoned in I think we said golden letters along the side, the name, the Leaky Mermaid.
Gross. I think Bungo, seeing the kids being sad, would cast Thaumaturgy and make a little accordion sound, like that still just goes.
Where would that sound be located?
It would be where the accordion was.
Okay. I think the kids would gasp and be like,
Ghost accordion.
yeah, be like trying to like poke the ground near where the accordion just was, and some of them would be waving after. I think one of them wouldn't be able to handle the emotional intensity of the event and would just break down crying, sitting on the dock.
Bungo would just go up to him and like tap it, like pat him on the shoulder, and just goes, "Maybe the accordion was inside you all along."
The kid would look down and like pop open some of the buttons on his little shirt and like hit his tummy like a drum and have a big smile on his face.
Bungo would cast Thaumaturgy and make it sound like an accordion when he bangs his tummy.
Yeah, the kid would just have a huge grin on his face and stand up and run around the other kids, slapping his belly while the accordion sounds are coming out.
I think we might have found our ship if they're taking guests. I can't think of the fucking word.
Yeah. You see Tyler sort of smiling, just like, "We have not confused the kids on the way there, though, yeah, Bungo?"
Do we want to go on a boat with a guy who has scum written on his?
Yes.
It is somewhat,
I feel like if you've
questionable.
got scum on you, you probably are scum. I mean, is it safe taking a boat with a huge guy
It's-
called Scum on?
It is spelt with a K as well, to be clear.
You then see the Aarakocra lean over the Wait, Tom, what's the name of the place that we're going to again?
Luskin.
You're travelling up to Luskin.
Oh yeah,
And
that's it. So you'd see her lean over the side of the ship. Last call for passengers for the Leaky Mermaid. Last boat to Luskin for the next week.
Well, that was good timing.
Seems we got no choice. Could be interesting, though.
Hello, we're
Gotta be something.
we're passengers. That's the word I was looking for, not guests.
All right, come up aboard.
Yeah, Bungo would walk up onto the ship.
Alright.
Tom, would she charge them to get on the boat?
I
I
mean,
assume so.
if she doesn't want to run out of money, yeah.
That feels like a very her thing to do.
You'd all see Norm waving with a sad smile from behind on the dock.
Goodbye, Norm. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Or anything he would do.
So,
What does
how
that
many
leave
of
me
you-
with then?
Bye,
But
Norm.
he'd smile. Be safe,
How many?
mistress.
River?
I'll try.
You check in every day.
I will. Don't worry, and I'll keep Dad up to date. Don't worry. And I hope you're around so we can talk sometime.
I'll make sure I am. You know I'll have to be helping him around.
Don't let Jeffrey sleep in my room.
It's like a shocked look on Norm's face. He's like, right, Jeffrey, yep. Let's go spend some of
What did I
this.
do to peanuts?
And he heads off. Okay, as you come aboard the ship, you would see... Who would you see, Anya?
Well, the female Aarakocra would be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you would see the gentleman emblazoned with the word scum all over the shop. He actually has two eyes. The female Aarakocra is the one with one eye.
We just like that picture.
He's holding the wiggling accordion in his arms.
Does he just
And
wear an
pets
eye
it.
patch even though he's got two eyes?
Yeah, he's actually that dumb, to be fair. Yeah, he's holding the wiggling accordion and trying to like shush it and pet it,
Pet.
and it's just making. Yeah, and then behind him at the what's the does the wheel thing have a proper name, or is it like a tiller or something?
Captain's wheel. There you go.
The captain's wheel. You would see another Aarakocra, a male Aarakocra, like a fucking peacock, a parrot. The other bird beginning with P. And you would also see a very spud-headed man, very, very large, but with a head covered in fuzz like a fuzzy potato, and a
Norm,
big.
how did you get on the ship?
Let's just move you guys over, shall we?
Checkerboard grin he would have.
Ooh.
If you all want to drag yourselves up onto the ship,
Do I need? Oh no, I'm already there. Sorry,
you're already there.
already there.
But would you introduce yourself
Yeah.
and your crew?
So first off, I'm Captain Kate Thunderheart. How many of you are there? I'm in the wrong place, aren't I? I've got to be over there.
Four in total.
That'll be 20 gold then, please.
Bungo, hand over 20.
Thank you. Is that cheap or is that about right?
Up to
It's
you.
not that long a journey, but it's potentially quite dangerous.
Oh well,
It's gold.
she's like that. She's a pirate.
It's fine.
So she would.
Yeah.
So yes, so Captain Kate Thunderheart is the person you would see before you. So she's got one eye. You can see underneath the eye patch a big scar that goes from sort of above where the bird eyebrow would be to below where the bird cheekbone would be, beneath the thing, and then she would introduce you to. So this is Dreyfus. He's my navigator. He's been serving me steadily for many years, and he's a very sort of dejected, grumpy-looking parrot, because he believes that he should be first mate, but obviously that is the lovely Scum, who is still holding the wiggling accordion.
Does Dreyfus do that thing that birds do when they're stressed, where they pull out their own feathers? So he's like really bald.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
god.
yeah. He'd have like a big bald patch on his chest.
Nice to meet you all. It's not often we see. Not often I've seen Aarakocra around.
Certainly not.
Well, it's lovely to meet you. And this is Tacky Jack. He's our ship's cook.
Nice to meet you as well.
Sorry? Oh, yeah, sorry. Yep. And this is Scum, and he is my first mate. And Scum will be like, what?
Hello.
And then this is Grub. Scum, can you please put Grub down? He needs to be on the floor. And he would just deposit him. He would just drop it onto the floor.
Can you make
And
the sound
Sam.
that he makes when he drops?
This is what Tom's neighbours have been hearing all of today and yesterday.
So good.
Can I do an insight check?
Yeah. What are you trying to figure out?
It's going to be a bit broad and vague, but basically whether or not there's any particular member of this crew that we should, I don't know, looks a bit shady, we should keep an eye out for, keep an eye on.
Well,
Okay.
it's probably the man with Scum tattooed on him.
Hey man,
I'll say just roll it. This isn't going to be contested. This is just going to be your general sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
I want Bungo to do it too.
I'm just waiting for someone to be like, so what's up with the accordion?
Oh,
No,
Yeah.
I'm with
I've
the
seen a lot.
accordion. Oh, that's funny. Atala, you want to get in on this, or happy?
I'm happy.
Okay. So I'll say the 10 and 13. So Bungo and Grey. Hard to read. They're an eclectic crew. The guy with Scum tattooed on various parts of himself, certainly in terms of visual impression, would get your hackles up a little bit. He is physically imposing.
He hasn't
He-
said anything yet, has he?
He said,
He just said-
what?
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, he reminds me a lot of who was that other guy? That was an orc. Do you remember the guy Nicked from? He had an orc behind him. It was pretty much the same. Quiet, big, brutish.
Guppy.
In what?
Guppy. that
Oh,
was it.
yeah, Guppy. But you would, I think from Jack, you would get a sense. Again,
He's
Right,
just a
whereas-
cheery idiot.
yeah. Whereas Scum looks intimidating, Jack's got a bit of a grin on his face. Difficult to read much from such a mad band, though.
Mhm.
You don't feel threatened, and you would notice, I would say, even with the lower rolls, the two of you, that there are other seemingly like deckhands and such, other members of the ship going about their business, and there does seem to be a sort of a healthy deference to the captain. It seems like a running ship. The ship itself is in good nick, and Kate speaks with a good amount of confidence. For someone who has been the scammer and has witnessed many scams, Gray, you don't feel like there's any of that at play here. Whereas for Sandra with a natural 20, you would sort of see past the immediate madness, the the assault on the senses of this crew, and since there is a tight bond here, you can sense that Kate seems to have a fierce pride about her ship and her crew. They all sort of, through their body language, you can see they all defer to her. Even the big guy is like occasionally glancing over to Kate to look for instruction and how to act. It very much feels like this is her ship, her word is law. So you think probably as long as you're on her good side, you've got nothing to fear at all.
She'd
Yeah.
timidly be like, "Do you have any more people travelling with you from Neverwinter up to Luskan, or are we the stowaways, as it were, even though we paid?"
Do we have some more people, Tom?
I would say no. You tend to have much more people on the return trip, coming further south down from Luskan.
Okay.
I'd say the trip, and you probably had people coming up from Waterdeep to Neverwinter, but you don't have anybody except these guys, so actually it was quite a nice surprise. It's unusual
Yeah.
to get people going from this final trip, Neverwinter, to Luskan.
Yeah, no, we're actually quite surprised to see some people who want to go to Luskan. Everybody wants to go Luskan to Neverwinter and Neverwinter to Waterdeep, but, you know, not so popular this leg of the journey. Never mind.
Do we have quarters, or are we
Yeah, Scum, can you show them down to their quarters, please?
Never thought I'd get shown
Grub,
to
will
my...
you leave that alone?
Bungo whisper to Sandra and just say, never thought I'd get taken to my quarters by someone called Scum.
I wonder if it's because he... Well, is it like the scum you get on the sea, or...
No, very astute. Maybe I'll ask Blam when we see him.
Lydia said there'd be a lot of weird stuff on this journey. I didn't think it would come so quickly.
Well, life is full of surprises, as they say.
Okay.
Yes. Scum would lead you down to your quarters, but he would be making very, very. You can tell he's not a people person because along the way he's like, "What? My name's Scum. What, on the Leaky Mermaid?"
Did you?
You know, and there's a lot of awkward silences. And you're like,
Is he
okay.
also not a people person because he has scum written on his chest?
Boy, that's a birthmark.
I was gonna say, point at it and be like, birthmark.
Yeah, there you go.
But he leads you to your quarters, which are nice enough. There's blankets, wooden cots. Well, up to you, Anya. It's your ship. Hammocks or cots?
I was gonna say,
Hammocks.
I'm glad we're not sleeping with livestock.
Mm.
Hammocks.
Hammocks. So there'd be hammocks. But I'd say the Leaky Mermaid is a well put together ship. There's space for people to share rooms should they wish, and otherwise they can have a bit of space themselves if they want to. Separate areas for the crew's quarter, and then of course Kate's own quarters are towards the back of the ship and a bit more grand.
Yeah,
Wait,
let's
isn't
just
the
say
hammock-
that given the first mate is called Scum, it's surprisingly nice.
Isn't a hammock like the best possible bed for a ship?
Mm-hmm.
Because even if it's tilting and everything, you'll just be
Yeah.
staying
Yeah.
still, right? Oh,
It
I bet that'd be
reduces
nice.
seasickness.
Yeah. Ooh.
Bungo wants to go up to the accordion,
Yeah, Tyler's coming.
and he's gonna sort of sit down like next to it and just see what it does.
Like a curious child.
You got quite the fascinating item. Yeah. Like, how does it move? How does it function? Talking to the bird
Oh.
lady.
Yeah, it's a mystery to us all, really. Tom, do we have a thing we agreed on here?
You told me that Grub is magically enchanted accordion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that he likes to believe that he's a grub, and that's why it's called Grub.
Yeah.
And he moves
He
around.
thinks he's a worm.
So I guess Kate would explain that to Atala.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does he like?
Don't tell him. Don't refer to him as the accordion, please. Just it drives him mad. You don't want to see what he does when people call him the accordion. It's not pretty.
Sorry, Grub. Do you like music?
He'd just go.
Bungo's gonna reach into his Heward's handy haversack, and he's gonna pull out and he starts to pull out an instrument, and he says, I've been practicing since I speaking to some friends back in Amphail, and he pulls out a set of bagpipes. And it's gonna try,
Oh, I'm quite musical myself.
he's gonna try and play
Kate.
the bagpipes for Grub.
Yes.
Go ahead and make a performance check for me, please.
Damn it.
Ah, the classic
It's
two.
been a while.
No, wait, I'm gonna use Heffalumps Help.
To use Heffalumps help, you have to say.
Heffalump Help.
Oh
you-
crap!
Hey, like, what?
You all see Bungo trying to play his bagpipes, not really working. Then he calls out, "Heffalump help!" And there's a whisper in the wind and a swirling of translucent magical energy around the bagpipes. And suddenly, if you'd roll again, okay, Bungo gets into the rhythm of it, and you hear the droning coming forward from the bagpipes. I don't know how Grub would react.
He'd probably just be making a little excited, like.
Very good.
I've still got some practicing to do.
Oh well, you get plenty aboard the Leaky Mermaid. We're a very musical crew here. Kate is actually a bard, and that will come into play later.
Perhaps we can have a duet there, Bungo. I've got my wand of conducting. I brought it with me.
Of course, after you, dear.
Well, not right now, but maybe later.
Well, seems like a good time for music before bed, if you ask me. And he's gonna just keep playing the bagpipes.
What time is it?
Absolutely.
Is it really late?
It's getting. The sun has set now. Speaking of which.
Okay.
let's
So we've long since moved off. Who's driving?
turn to
Dreyfus.
Ooh.
Night falls.
Spooky.
Yes, so Dreyfus would be at the helm.
Looking really pissed off.
Tacky Jack would actually be below deck, whipping up dinner. Gunn would be seeing to the rest of the crew. Grub would be living his best worm life, sneaking around and playing with Bungo.
Sandrell, what is Scum doing?
Scum is looming. Seems to be his speciality. Rather than a vocal first mate, I think it would be fair to say, Anya, that Scum is more of a loomer. He kind of stands behind people and looms over them to make them work better.
Yep, pretty much. You'll come to realize that over the time that you are on the ship, he is not the actual intimidation, the person that you need to impress or get on your side, because he will literally just do whatever Kate tells him to do. Kate is the person to keep on side.
She'd walk up behind Scum and be like, "Hi, Scum.
What?
I just wanted to ask because, well, I find it a bit strange. Why do you have when did you have Scum tattooed on yourself? Not that it's bad, just I wondered why you want that."
Mum couldn't remember my name.
But why did she call you Scum?
I don't know. Easy to remember and easy to spell, and
But she said she couldn't remember it.
she could once.
Oh,
I don't
God.
fucking think these things through, Well, she could remember it once she tattooed it on me, yeah?
But okay, Scum. I just wanted to know.
Just ask me mum.
I will.
Hello, Scum's mum.
She sort of looks up at him and then moves over to the side of the boat to look off of it.
And he just goes back to picking his nails or whatever.
Yeah. So you see the coast faster and faster moving along. Next to you, though, as the lights are dimming, you lose sight, and before long, it's just you on the ship. Lanterns are lit around the edges of the ship and along the central line. The crew are well trained and drilled, and it largely seems like Scum's loom is kind of superficial. But you find yourself traveling further north on the ship. The sun is
Hey,
down.
Tom.
Dinner is ready. Yeah.
Do you remember when you asked if we wanted anything? There was one item I always wanted to get in the first campaign and just
Mhm.
never had the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm sitting up in this crow's nest. Could I have a spyglass?
Absolutely, you could
Yeah.
add that to your
Thank
inventory.
you.
Yeah, I can't imagine Gray not pilfering one or getting one throughout his time.
As
in
a guy, I
Neverwinter.
can remember the first campaign. It's I really want a spyglass. The first point, I get a bloody spyglass.
I'm just
Never did.
imagining Dreyfus is patting himself down, where's my spyglass?
Well, maybe.
But you find yourself traveling north. The quarters are prepared for you. Dinner is served and prepared by Tacky Jack. What's for dinner, Anya?
Roast lamb with crushed rosemary potatoes.
Pretty nice. And you find yourself heading off to your quarters, unless there's other stuff you want to be doing before the night.
Think Bungo would just be encouraging Atala and him to play with Grub, and maybe both grabbing an end of him and sort of walking back and then